Hello and welcome to episode 87 of the Back Nine Six Pack. My name is Mitch, joined as always by my esteemed colleague Justin. RIP to the 2024 Packers.
I'm going to give Jeff some credit, our guy Jeff some credit. Might have been frauds. Okay, let me rephrase that. I think they're not fraudulent. I think that they were a very good football team, but they were not a great football team.
Yeah.
Last year going to the playoffs, they were a great football team. Not this year. Look at it, they played like shit against the Vikings. Yeah, they rested a lot of starters against the Bears, but like when the starters were in, they didn't look good. You know what I mean? So I guess I'll repeat what Tucker Kraft said today. He was like, you felt something brewing. If something was brewing that was not going to go their way, and the first 30 minutes of that game, just nothing went their way. Maybe a questionable call on the kickoff looked like a clear recovery, but apparently, from what I did not know this, you can't use Skycam in review. Did not know that.
Wow.
I could imagine that it would have been very hard to get that shot of a clear recovery if you cannot use Skycam, which I think is kind of stupid if you have all these cameras and you can't use them for a review. But yeah, it was and I don't think the Eagles particularly played very well either. If the offense could have got anything going, that game probably goes differently. The defense actually played really good until, when they needed a stop, they couldn't get one. So, but they were probably completely gassed at that point. So,
Yeah, it felt like the majority of that game was just like each team being like, no, you take it.
yeah,
No, please, you take it.
yeah. I mean, really, outside the 7 points that the Packers spotted them in the beginning, like it was a 3-0 game essentially,
Yeah.
and really should have been 10-3 or 3-3 if you don't spot them 7 points because they missed a field goal. So every Matt LaFleur, I said this in the text, and this is what I meant by that. Every Matt LaFleur loss looks exactly the same. There's a stupid turnover. I'm surprised we didn't have a loss challenge. It is surprising because that usually is included in that loss. You have a missed field goal when you absolutely need just points in general, and then it just kind of snowballs from there. Yeah, it was disappointing, but they keep saying they're a young team. They're a young team. Jordan Love, I don't care if they're young and going to get it better next year. Jordan Love's just got to play better than what he did yesterday. So,
Yeah, I got two questions for you. One, I'll ask the easier one first. What happened to Jaden Reed? Like, it feels like he's just disappeared the second half of the season.
well, so they got him back involved yesterday. I mean, he was one of the few people that you're like, oh, he actually looks like he wants to be out on the football field today. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if they were scheming away from him because people were kind of cluing in on him, or maybe they just got so committed to the run game it kind of got Jaden Reed uninvolved. I mean, I think look, Josh Jacobs needs his touches. That guy's a fucking beast. He was another one that looked like he was one of the very few people on the Packers offensive side of the ball that even wanted to be out there yesterday. But like, I think sometimes they got so clued in on like get Josh Jacobs the ball, they were not getting Jaden Reed the ball. And he's electric too. Like you got like it's just like Jamar. Like those guys, like you just gotta get the ball in their hands. Like I don't care how, but just get it in their hands. Because as much as I love Josh Jacobs, he's gonna have some 15, 20-yard runs, but like Jaden Reed's gonna be like house calls. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. That's probably part of their downfall. I mean, their offense slid off a pretty steep cliff the second half of the season, other than maybe like one or two games. And something tells me that probably has something to do with it, right? I don't know. But there was the Tucker Kraft interview today was telling. Maybe some locker room things going on, maybe guys that aren't maybe coming off super committed. It was an interest. You could tell he was choosing his words wisely. But it was an interesting interview. If anybody gets a chance or is interested, from coming from a guy that's really not a leader in the locker room, he's kind of a second or third year guy. He's a tight end. That words that he said are probably what you would expect coming out of your quarterback's mouth. I guess we'll say that.
Speaking of your quarterback, that's my next question. Is he injured? Does he possibly stink? Is
No,
he?
I think he was injured again. I mean, they said he
Yeah.
couldn't feel his whole arm like on Monday. So to me, but like that's where it goes back to. It's like, okay, like we know we want him on the field, but if it like Malik Willis is not bad. Like I know he had his time in Tennessee and it was not good. We're starting to find out Tennessee was held together by like the thinnest of margins because they went from like in the playoffs to like the worst team in the league pretty
Yeah.
quickly. Um, but like to me, it's like, okay, like, do you have a better chance of playing with a hurt Jordan Love or a healthy quarterback that's maybe a little mobile, maybe adds that, you know, just that layer of like doubt in the Philadelphia mind that it's like, okay, this guy can run too, but he's healthy. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. When I heard that, I'm like, and it was like after his first pick, they said that. I'm like, why is he out there?
Yeah.
Then like I don't know. I mean, I know he's the franchise quarterback. He should be on the field, but at what point any quarterback hurt is no good to an offense. I mean,
No, I mean that the turnovers were pretty much that game. Like Malik Willis could have won you a 17-14 game yesterday or whatever. Like that wouldn't have been a problem, but the turnovers were so that's what kept Philadelphia afloat
yeah.
themselves because they weren't
Well,
doing
it
anything.
was like honestly, it was the perfect game for Malik Willis to win, right? Like if you
Yeah.
absolutely needed him to start, Malik Willis is not going to go out and put up 35 points, but he can go up and put 24 up, you know what I mean, pretty easily, and he's done it twice this year. So that's when I'm like, you start seeing throws he's making that you're just like, he's better than that. Like we've seen he's better than that, and he's making these throws where you're just like, dude, that was off by like
A
5-6 yards.
lot.
Like one of the picks, it was like
Ugh.
I think Tom Brady said it perfectly. Like, where was he even throwing the ball? Like, it didn't. There was not even a guy. You know, he threw it like 5 yards behind his wide receiver. So I think I truly am stashing it to that. I just don't think he's been healthy much of this year at all.
Yeah.
It started week one, and then it was fitting for him to go into the playoffs hurt. That's kind of how the season started. And then, the offensive line's been the staple of the offense the entire year. They played 695 snaps together during the season. Like the first drive, your best offensive lineman gets hurt. So it was doomed from the beginning. That game was over as soon as that kickoff got fumbled. Yeah, there's not much else to say at this point.
No. And on that note, I'm going to crack this open and we'll pour one out for your Packers. Welcome to
Yeah.
draft season, buddy.
Yeah. I loved your text this morning. Like, welcome to mock draft season. As soon as you're out of the playoffs.
Yeah, shout out to my guy Zach Zach Tantillo, sorry, the head of social at PFF. He takes great joy in firing off the welcome to draft season tweets throughout the season. When the Bengals started 1-4, I went to that Monday nighter when they lost. Woke up the next morning, 8 a.m. Bengals mock draft tweet. And I was like, "You son of a bitch!"
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
so good. That's so
those
good.
are good.
Yeah. Well,
All right,
I am excited. I will say this. I am very excited. We're moving on to next year. The Bengals play at Lambeau next year. And it's already been determined. We are going. Like, I'm going. I don't know who else is
yeah.
coming with me, but I think it's going to be a fun trip. I'm excited for that. So
Yeah, would love to. Not sure I'll be able to, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the stars might align. The dates might be good. Who knows? So,
could be
all right,
December 24th.
which would be bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. If you have not already, please subscribe, rate, review the show. Follow us on social media at Back96Pack. Also, I guess I could say this now. We're putting them on YouTube. Smash the like button, baby.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Hit us up in the
Subscribe
comments.
too.
Yeah, subscribe to YouTube. That'd be awesome. And also, always fan mail, always open in the description of each episode. Click that link, shoot us a text, let us know what you want to talk about. All right. Something we glossed over. Oh, well, one, your Buckeyes are favored by 8.5, so you can take that solace with your Packers being
Yeah,
out.
it wasn't a complete loss weekend. We
No.
had some sports wins. That game, I said I ripped my shirt off on the scoop and score. My dogs were terrified for about an hour after the game. They thought I was like trying to beat them or something. And I was just like I was just air punching. Look, this game's going to go one of two ways. And what I mean by that, and not so much on the field, I think it could be like the most watched national championship, one of the most watched national championships ever. I mean, you've got just gigantic brands. I mean, when outside the Midwest too. Like Notre Dame fans are everywhere.
Oh yeah.
It's the Catholic Church. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for the game. I think it's going to be closer than people are analyzing. Look, I think the Buckeyes were a runaway train. They kind of had a little bit of a test on Friday night. I mean, that game could have gotten a lot worse, but Texas kind of held serve. And I just think that Notre Dame's like just tough enough and scrappy enough. It's kind of like how the Lions, what the Lions say they want to do. They just want to like drag you out far enough to where you're starting to play their game and not your game, right? And so I think Notre Dame's coached well enough that I think it's going to be closer than people think. I don't think it's going to be. I would be surprised if it was a blowout.
Oh, so would I am kicking myself. The beginning, even before the playoffs started, our buddy, shout out Trevor, he's a big Notre Dame fan. Him and I would constantly text him like, dude, I think your team's underrated. Like, I really do. I was like, I kept looking at the odds for the title, and I was just like, I just don't know if Notre Dame, like, they're not going to be one of the top four, obviously. So it's like, they got to play an extra game. I won't bet it. But now that they're here, I'm like, man, they're kind of like the fancy version of Michigan.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I think defensively they may like on the line they probably don't have as much talent as Michigan.
They've had a
You
lot
know
of
that Michigan
injuries too.
defensive line is as much as I hate that place. That defensive line is like between Mason Graham and I can't remember the other guys. Like those guys are sick. Like they are so good. Whoever gets them or just in the draft this year is just they're going to get winners. I mean, those guys are so good. But yeah, they are. I guess that's the better way. Like they know how to muck up a game, right? Like they really do. I think that's the brand of football that they just play. And it's not fancy. It's not something you're going to want to watch. 20 games of, but they will muck it up with the best of them, and it's been proven this year, like the games like that. And like, I think Texas mucked it up a little bit for them a little bit on Friday night, and that kept it close. I definitely think it's going to be closer than people. I think Ohio State's going to pull it out, but I definitely think it's not going to be some blowout that most people are expecting. Outside of a couple games, Ohio State's not been known to, close games out and make them unreachable. So I don't know if that'll come back to fruition, but I think it's definitely going to be closer than the 9.5 that they're touting, spouting out there on lines and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I would agree. Well, you brought up Texas. So speaking of Texas, over the holidays, you had your annual or biannual, whatever you do, visit to Texas for Christmas and all that. You stopped in a little town called Dublin. Had no idea this place existed. I didn't. And you ran into the Ben Hogan Museum.
yeah, so we're driving from Waco, Texas,
Shout
back
out
to
Magnolia.
yeah. Hey, look at this. So I stopped in, saw Chip and Joanna. They're good friends of mine. So we're driving back from Waco to Odessa, where my wife's from, and I'm on my laptop. I'm actually working. It was like a Monday or whatever, and I'm working, uh, and I knew Ben Hogan was from Dublin. I didn't know where Dublin was. I will admit that I did not know where it was. I knew he was from Dublin, Texas. My dog's named after him, so I hope I would know that. Uh, and my wife goes, "Oh, look, a Ben Hogan museum," and she did not want to stop. My sister-in-law, shout out Melanie, was like, "Just let him stop. Like we're gonna turn the car around. Just let him stop." So she turns the car around. We go in, meet. So first off, it wasn't open when I got there. There was a number in the door that says, "Call me." Call me if and I can maybe make it work. So call this lady. This lady answers and she goes, I don't know. She's like, probably going to take me 30 seconds to get over there, depending on what the truck traffic is in town. So shout out to Karen. Karen gave us the rundown. She's the one that kind of runs the museum there. It's one room, but there is a ton of like so much history in one room. A lot of the stuff came from his office. His longtime secretary, when he got sick and was not coming into the office anymore, took everything out of his office and put it in her garage. And then when he passed away, she goes, I think this needs to be here. They already had a museum, but now it has a ton of, just clubs he's used, It had trophies he's won. It just had it had military stuff of his. If those who don't know, he served in the war. It had everything. Had his replica green jacket in there that you could actually put on. He was not as big as me, so it was a tight fit. I didn't want to like bust the seams or anything. I think one of the coolest things in there, though, she was telling the story about the guy that used to help Hogan design his clubs when he had his before they sold off and everything. When they sold off, he went over to Nike and was designing clubs. And this is when Tiger was, using Nike clubs, and Tiger comes in for like a design fit or whatever, and for him to come and try out different designs. And he was dealing with something, and Tiger, while he was waiting, grabs a 5-iron out of this random bag in his office, starts hitting shots with it. And he comes back and he was like, "Oh, what club is that?" And he was like, "This." He was like, "This is what this is." He was like, "I want this." And so he was like, "Oh," he was like, he tells Tiger, like, the only other person that's hit that golf club is Ben Hogan. And that night, that guy took that golf club, drove it down from Dallas to Dublin, Texas, and was like, "This needs to be in this museum." Puts it in a case, and he wrote a letter talking about how Ben Hogan and Tiger Woods were the only people to ever hit this iron. Is really cool. I mean, it's a priceless, absolutely priceless piece of equipment. I mean,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool. And shout out to Karen again. She was a sweetheart. I would, if she could read me bedtime stories, I would totally want that. Her voice was so soothing, very Southern Belle voice. She was just the sweetest lady in the world. Um, I tell you, I told her, I'm like, I'm coming back here. I don't know when I'll be back here, but I'm coming back here. So one day they host a tournament. Apparently, a lot of pros show up too. The day we showed up, she said that we just missed Steve Elkington. He dropped
Oh
off
man.
Christmas cookies, so that'd have been kind of cool if we could have met him. But yeah, it was awesome. I can't believe we glazed over it last week, but I think with our technical difficulties and all that, it just kind of missed the boat. But if you don't know what it is, go check it out. They're on Facebook. They have a website. And yeah, I told her one day I'm going to come back down and play in the tournament and visit again because, like I said, wasn't big, but it was as far as like per capita square footage, it had so much history in there. I wish I could have spent another 3 hours in there, and I probably could have if I wanted to.
Jeez. So what? Dublin, the town itself, is it basically just like a
Two
one of the drive?
stoplights.
Yeah.
Two stoplights. Yeah, it's so tiny. Yeah, he was born there, and then they moved to Dallas.
Yeah.
He had a lot of tragedy in his life. His dad unfortunately took his life, but that actually pushed him to golf. He would have never been a golfer had that never happened. As crazy as that sounds, and then um, you know Dublin is you. I mean, you blink your eyes. I mean, look, I was on my laptop and I must miss the whole town. So like we were out of town by the time I realized what was going on and got my sister-in-law to turn the car around. So um, they do play into the whole Dublin thing very well. There's a kilt shop there. Yeah, it was pretty interesting little town to say the least.
They take their Irish heritage
They,
seriously, huh?
they do. Yes, they do.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you brought that up today, so we could get that out here a little bit and encourage people to go check that out. Just we're a little bit of golf history buffs here, so it's pretty
Yeah,
neat. We just stumbled upon it.
And Ben Hogan's my favorite player. I mean, he's probably got one of arguably the best swing ever. Things that he did in his golf swing are still taught today. So I mean, his swing and his play carries centuries. I mean, outside of his car wreck, he probably would have won a lot more. I mean, guy won a U.S. Open 16 months after almost dying in a car wreck. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool history behind him. I hope everybody. I don't know. A lot of people don't know the history about Ben Hogan, but I suggest you, if you're a golf fan, his story is definitely one that you should read.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, just honestly the type of story that you're just never going to really see nowadays, right? It's
Yeah,
yeah, pretty much
yeah,
everybody that makes it to tour nowadays has a very similar story. Um, But yeah, back in those days and what professional golf was then and all of that, it's like just a wild west of a time,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, it's so crazy.
Whew. Well, speaking of pro golf, Sony Open was this weekend. Nick Taylor wins in a playoff over, sorry, I'm going to butcher the name, Nico Echevarria, I believe,
Yep,
something like that. Anyone who missed it, he shot 65 on Sunday, back 931, that included a chip-in eagle on the last
electric.
hole to force the playoff. It's his 5th career win, and his last 3 have all come in playoffs.
Yeah,
So he's 3-0 in playoffs, 3 wins in a row, all in playoffs.
it's so
Crazy.
wild.
Yeah, he didn't have the best season last year. A lot of missed cuts and stuff coming off of a really impressive season the year before where he was the first Canadian in however long to win the Canadian Open. But he's just one of those guys that he can pop up out of nowhere and win.
Yeah, and God, how good is that finishing hole? It's one of the better.
Dude.
Just for drama, it is such a good finishing hole. It's a
Yeah.
tight drive. If you don't hit the fairway, hold it. And then yesterday was kind of playing downwind, so holding the green was kind of hard. Oh God, what a good finishing hole for a tournament that just does not get the play that I think it deserves.
No.
But it was a great playoff, and Nick Taylor hit one of the sauciest wedges I've ever seen to win that playoff. I mean, 50 yards, had to kind of land it on the front. He wasn't going to get a ton of spin because it was downwind, and he just skipped it on up there at about 3 feet. It was the chip in was electric though. I mean, it was.
Oh, yeah.
I watched it live, and I was like kind of I didn't know what just happened. It was kind of oh crap, he's now in the lead. It was just kind of a wild scenario. So
Yeah. This tournament's delivered a lot recently. I mean, this is a second year in a row with a playoff. I think the year before maybe might have been the year where Hideki hit that 3-wood out of the bunker or something
yeah,
to win. It was. I mean, there's been a lot of really good finishes at this event. So yeah, good start to the season. And now we are on to the American Express.
not a big fan of this tournament, to be honest with you.
I know that the 3-course rotation, the pro-am, it's just kind of eh. But I will say there is a pretty good field. There's some good names in it. I think just the way the calendar has been falling, a lot of guys pick this up as kind of their first event before they get into, Torrey and Riv and kind of the
kind of
West
a warm
Coast.
up. Yeah.
So I think it does. It's gotten a little bit of extra shine because of that. Recap for the one and done last week. Thank God we took Russell Henley. JT posted and missed a cut. I was texting you on Thursday. I was like, oh my, because Russ got off to a slow start, and I think JT was already in the clubhouse at 3 under or something.
Yeah, it was oh God dang it, we took the wrong person.
Yeah, and then completely flipped that. I think Russ at one point was tied for the lead after 2
He
rounds,
was.
maybe. Just kind of kept shooting himself in the foot over the weekend.
Yeah, yesterday, he bogeyed 17. It's he's going to get a top 5, maybe an outside chance at a top 3, and bogeyed 17. Yeah, he did. He just had a handful of holes that just man, if those go differently, we're probably right there.
Yeah, so we end up with a T10 out of him. He was the most picked player, which I was not surprised by. But so we're in a tie for 525th place. We banked $195,000. Much better start than we're off to previous year.
Yeah, no shit.
I think there's 20 people that took Nick Taylor, so kudos to them for doing that. But we didn't. It's not like we missed out on the most value or the most selected winner or something.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Yep.
American Express. You got any takes? Who you want to go with?
Well, I'll tell you. I was kind of looking at the odds board and last year's leaderboard, and man, the first guy that popped off to me was Keith Mitchell. I don't know why. He, this is a birdie fest.
Yeah.
Keith struggles with big numbers. Keith can make a lot of birdies though. I think it plays well. I think he came in 10th last year at this event. He didn't have a bad showing. Shot 10 under in the last round. But, last year, I think the winner was 27, 28 under, Nick Dunlap. So it got up there. It is a birdie fest. And maybe it's not Keith Mitchell, but I think we just need someone that's has the ability to make a lot of birdies. And I think he's probably someone that can.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I looked a little bit at Keith today too. Can I interest you in a birdie maker who finished T8 at Century and whose course history is T6, T11, T93, not good, T6, T18?
I'm gonna guess is that Tony Finau.
That's a very good guess, but no. Right next to each other on the odds board, though.
Oh, you got to tell me now. I had no idea.
That would be Sam Burns.
You know, I thought about Sam, and the only reason I kind of was like maybe not is because he is someone that, like, if he gets hot this year, you're gonna want him in another tournament. However, he's not proven to win any big tournaments, but more so these tournaments, right? I don't dislike that pick at all. That was it was him and Keith Mitchell who I was kind of looking at. The only thing with Sam, I was just like, could we use him in another tournament? But if you don't think we can, then I would say that was the only reason I came off of Sam Burns, was the fact that he may be someone we could use in a tournament down the road.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think my approach that I'm trying to kind of lean into right now is like, let's just bank some dollars right now. Like,
okay, I don't hate that. That was the only reason I came off of Sam Burns, was I just was very unsure about maybe not firing him off in the American Express, but it is definitely, I mean, he's played well there, and he can make birdies. Like he really can get on a heater. But that was the only reason I came off of him.
I think to your point too is like I think he's a big name, like quote unquote, like to us or people that know golf. But like when you put him into an elevated event or whatever, he becomes, the
middle of the road,
something player, right?
Yep.
But like in this field, he's got the fifth highest odds to win, is in good form, and has a good history here. So I'm just like,
yeah, let's go. I like it. Let's go with Sam Burns. I'm good with that. Like I said, the only reason I came off of him is the fact of maybe using him down the road. But I agree with you. You throw him at Riv in an elevated event, he's probably like on the bottom third of the odds board, so.
Yeah, it's like it goes from like, okay, just taking something that makes sense versus like trying to call your shot later, right?
Yep.
So, all right, we're going to do it. We're locking in Sam Burns, the official Back 9 6-pack one and done play of the week. All right. TGL time. So
snooze fest.
Yeah, well, when the Bay, our second favorite team, I believe we've officially claimed them as our second favorite, goes out and beats the New York Golf Club 9-2. That's not good. We don't like that.
Beat the brakes off of them. I mean, just smoked.
Now, we were recording last week during it, so I know we both didn't catch most of it, but for what I did catch, I was curious what your overall thoughts were too. I was not that I had high expectations or low expectations, but I was pleasantly surprised by it.
I would say I set the bar pretty, like, not too low, but not too high. And I think it exceeded that.
That's kind of what it was, yeah.
Okay, so I kind of got in, like, just a discussion on Twitter about it, and people were like, I didn't like it. I'm like, I loved it, because, like, what else am I watching on a Tuesday night? Like, I watch a lot of college basketball, so if I wasn't watching that, I'd watch college basketball. We don't have a lot going on in the winter in the Midwest and the northern states. Like, it's nice to have something like that on. I thought the whole vibe of, like, the music playing, guys kind of cutting loose a little bit. I thought it was great. I know we're the target audience for that, right? So I understand why we probably liked it more than other people. But I thought it was awesome. I really did. I think this week is really going to be good with these teams that we have playing.
Yeah, I think there's probably plenty of nitpicking to do as we go, but like I was just impressed with how smooth it went, honestly. Like,
yeah.
The ESPN production of it and everything was really good. You watch like the match and all these different other matches that they've done since that. Like,
we've done 1,000 of those.
I know, but it gets so clunky. Like, there's always like,
the
players are mic'd up, they're talking over the announcers. There's like breathing going on. It's kind of like awkward a lot.
Yeah.
This to me, like the production and like the way that it moved and like kept like I don't know, it just all flowed way better than I expected. I expected technical difficulties.
Oh,
I
I did
expected
too. Yeah.
audio issues, like all this stuff, and it just like it was way more polished. I guess is what I'm trying to
Yep,
say.
it was very polished. I thought the product was very, very good. I think ESPN did a great job. Uh, I I don't know who the announcer was.
It was Matt Berry.
Okay, I think he could have used somebody else, maybe.
Yeah, it's tough when you have a guy like SVP who like I think would thrive in that role, but he's like
Oh,
the
he would
studio
crush it.
guy. So like that's why they didn't use him that way. But I agree with you. He's just kind of like generic announcer guy,
Yeah,
and
he's
I
not
do
like, I
think
mean, like, I'm sure he golfs and stuff, but he's not like a golf guy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I said that I think if I had one complaint, that would probably be. I don't. It's not that he did a bad job. I just think there could be someone better out there to do it.
it's almost like you don't even need like an announcer either. Too, I don't know. I would be willing for them to like play with formats here.
Yeah, I agree with that. The technology, the green is amazing. I don't know if you got a chance to catch any of that. It's like
That's
this like
wild.
metal platform that kind of like moves. It's really. I mean, the technology is incredible. I was glad to see Rory and Tiger there for the opening night and kind of sitting to the side and getting involved a little bit. I have no other than the Matt Berry being just like maybe there's someone better to do it. I did not that he was bad, but that would have really been my only complaint. And I was genuinely surprised that there was no like, yeah, the clunkiness or anything like that being the first night.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was the floor. That's good news for them for sure. So, yeah, match tomorrow, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I don't know why this is at 7. It was at 9 last week, but it's fine. We got your Los Angeles Golf Club
Heck yeah,
going
let's
up
go.
against Tiger Woods Jupiter Links Golf Club. So for Jupe Links, you've got Tiger, Max Homa, Kevin Kisner playing. For LA Golf Club, it's Colin Morikawa, Sahith Theegala, and Justin Rose. Tom Kim on the bench for Jupe, and Tommy Fleetwood on the bench for LA.
Would have loved to see Golf and Jesus out there
I know.
for the first week, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, right now your LA Golf Club is minus 170. In Ohio we cannot bet on this unfortunately, but
What?
I know it stinks. But yeah, they're minus 170 favorites. I think that makes sense considering Tiger and Kiz don't really even play anymore.
Yeah, I think if Tom Kim was playing, it'd probably be close to a pick 'em.
Yeah. The only thing I will say, look, if there's one thing we know, Tiger's probably been beating balls in this thing for months.
Oh God, yeah.
He's probably been chipping on that green for forever. He's probably got the grain figured out.
Oh, 100%.
And then look, Sahith, he's coming off playing in Hawaii. A little jet lag going to the East Coast. I don't know. There maybe an upset's brewing.
I would love just to have a closer match. I think I think like a close match in the first week, people would have thought very differently of it that were criticizing it.
Sure.
Like if it came down to the last hole or something. Because you can do the hammer, that I thought that was cool. I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah.
So you can hammer it and the hole's worth 2. Thought that was awesome. I think if it was closer and someone had the hammer left, like it would have been a lot more exciting. So I'm just hoping for a closer match tomorrow.
Yeah, I would anticipate you probably get one. I'd be kind of shocked if it was
a blowout,
a massive blowout again, but whatever. This is the golf being played on a screen. Who knows what can
happen. Exactly.
All right, are you gonna ride with your boys in LA?
I am. Oh yeah, I'm full blown. I wish they were selling merchandise. Did not look like they were selling merchandise yet, but when they do, I will be fully committing to my fandom, unlike most LA people do. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this hasn't started yet, but I'm kind of already. The problem is, I would like to bail on Boston Common
You're
Golf.
already bailing.
Well, I kind of want to with because the problem is I would be going to the Bay Club and they've already won, so then I look like a
now you're like it's like you're liking the Yankees. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They win 27 World Series and now you're a fan.
Yeah. So, but hey, look, full transparency. I text you today. There's if you want to go to the TGL website, you can do like a find your team like quiz thing, and it asks you all these like personality type questions and whatever. Stuff like that to learn about you, and then it spits out what team you should root for based on that. And I got the Bay Club, so I feel If I need to, I can make the switch. I think I'm validated.
I want to take that quiz, but I'm afraid I'm going to get the Bay Club too, and I'm just not going to like myself for a while. So
Yeah, I get it. I'll stick with Boston Common, but yeah, we'll watch and see if LA can take down Jupiter tomorrow night. I'm excited to see Tiger on TV again. I mean, anytime he's swinging a golf club, I'm interested. So
the ratings tomorrow are going to be off the chain. I mean, with Tiger, I think everybody feels the same way. Anytime you can watch him swing a golf club, even if it's into a simulator, people will be 100% committed to that. So I could see that being a pretty big ratings night for TGL.
yeah, I would agree. And if I didn't say it yet, I'm going to go with Tiger and Jupe. I think the jet lag's a major factor here.
I would expect nothing less.
Yeah. All right. We're flying through this episode tonight. This is good news. We got Monday Night Playoff football on. Looks like the Rams are up 10-3 right now, just so you know. It's Patio Beers time. We're heading over to the
Alrighty,
patio.
let's go.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I've been tested during dry January.
Yeah,
I have not broken it,
that.
but I've been tested.
Let's talk about that for a second. I too feel like I've been tested, mainly because of the weather.
Yeah.
The weather, the snow is still on the ground. This place is never going to thaw out. We're supposed to be like single digits again here for the next few days, and then next week's even colder after it warms up a bit. But yeah, like just that factor alone. I know you've got sports teams and playoffs, all kinds of stuff going on.
It's going to be tempting next Monday.
Yeah.
For the national championship game, but I've been tempted with just the fact that last week, 3 days, no school, snow days, that was incredibly tough to get through without just being like, we gotta bust it out. Like, I can't do this alone. I'm a big enough man to admit that. But it was trying times last week for the second week of dry January.
Yeah, I mean, look, I work remotely, but I do have the one benefit that we do have an office here in town. I will be going to the office at some point this week. I've got to get out of this house. The snow days after the 2-week holiday break there's just too much happening here.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And so we've been tempted. You guys were asking me yesterday, like if I broke it for the Packers game, and I'm like, dude, that wasn't even worth breaking dry January for. That thing was over before it began. So no, I did not. Gosh, I'm already sneezing. It's like mid-April.
Yeah. All right. On to the patio for Patio Beers. I'm going to go first. I'm going to really just bring this whole episode to a grinding halt with this question. Take the mood down a few notches for you. There you go. I had to let you sneeze.
Yeah.
Bless you again.
Gosh.
All right. I was thinking about this. Listen, I started, the Goals podcast last week. I'm getting back into reading. I'm gonna read my 6 books. It's massive achievement.
We'll see
if I get it done. But it got me thinking about doing a little fiction stuff, right? So, what fictional character's death have you not gotten over to this day?
Whew, that's a good one. There's a lot of them.
Oh man,
what's the biggest one though? I'll tell you. Maybe it was just like the timing of the movie that I watched. This can it be a movie? It doesn't have to be a book.
Oh yeah,
right?
movie, book, whatever.
So I had just put my childhood dog down about 2 weeks prior to Marley and Me coming out. Not sure why I thought it was a good idea to go see this movie. Well, actually, we rented it. Yeah, from Family Video when you actually had to go get videos. Jeez. And this was one of the first movies that me and my now wife watched together. 2 weeks after putting down my childhood dog, I was a wreck, and I am not afraid to admit it. I was just uncontrollable sadness after watching that movie. And again, I think it was like, yes, it's a sad movie, but it was like also the timing of it was not great. It was not great.
No, 100%. Yeah. Jeez, I haven't even watched. Shocking, I've not seen it. Because I don't watch any movie ever apparently. But yeah, that's such a raw emotion when you're going through those times in life, and then to have that kind of movie right on top of it.
Brutal, absolutely brutal.
Yeah, that's tough. my number one. Did you ever read the book Where the Red Fern Grows?
No, I've heard of it. I've never read it.
Yeah. Well, essentially, it's about like this kid and his two hunting dogs or whatever. I must have been, I don't know, 10, 12 at most when I read this thing. It was over a holiday break. Uh, and basically, what happens is that, the one dog gets attacked by a cougar, ends up dying. Kid's name is Billy. The dog's name is Old Dan. And then a couple days later, just out of pure like kind of like a love story, right? Like pure sadness that the other dog had died. His other dog, Little Ann, just dies of being sad. And so,
Good God. So dog theme is what we're saying, like not
yeah,
even
dogs.
like people.
Apparently, we are big dog guys for sure. But I read this thing when I was about that age, and I will still remember to this day. Like it got me so good. It was like I was sick to my stomach. I like couldn't eat. My dad, I've mentioned on this podcast before, love my dad's cheese ball. This is around the holidays, so there's always kind of a cheese ball floating around, and like I couldn't even eat the cheese ball. I was so sick to my stomach over this book. So I've today I still think back on that. I'm like, man, old Dan.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, if we want to go the human route off of dogs, I was a big Game of Thrones guy when it was on. Eddard Stark was a tough one for me. I really liked it. I liked his character in Game of Thrones. He gets beheaded. That was a tough take. Look, I was so enthralled in that show. Let me put it this way: I watched like the first 3 seasons on my own, and then or first 2, and then the third season I watched as they came out. But I was like deeply into the Game of Thrones. But that one got me a little bit. I will say, as far as a human, I'm trying to think of other ones.
Oh, there's plenty I know, but it's hard when you're on the spot. I will say another one too, another animal one. My boys just this weekend were watching the live action Lion King.
Tough one, yeah.
Mufasa, and then when Simba's like up there and he's like, "Come on, Dad, get up."
Tough.
That is some deep childhood trauma for me. I remember watching that in like preschool, and being like, my mom I think even tells me this of like how I would ask her like, how could a brother do that to his brother? Like, I don't think I've dealt with this yet.
Yeah, well, we're not fighting. You guys aren't fighting over the king of the jungle, so I think you're good right now. Yeah, that's a tough one. That was a tough pill to swallow as a kid. Finding Nemo, the mom dying, was like at the very beginning of the movie was tough. I mean, that was hard to swallow too. I mean, single dad life for Nemo's dad. That was tough.
Shout out Marlon.
Yeah, Marlon, that's his name. I was trying to remember his name. Yeah. That was Disney kind of hits they pull on the heartstrings a little bit with like people die, fictional characters dying.
That's the Disney playbook. You got to have dead parents.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I'm God. There's probably so many good ones that I'm missing right now, and it's driving me insane. I know I'm gonna get tomorrow and be like, damn, that's the one yeah, I don't know. That's all I got for right now. Like cartoon characters and dogs. I mean, and Eddard Stark from Game of Thrones.
This is good news. This is a great time if people want to shoot us a fan mail text. Again, show description. Click the link. Let us know whose fictional death you've not gotten over.
Oh. All right. Well, so my question is in honor of Dry January. Just because we can't drink doesn't mean we can't think about it. So I think I sent you this video today, and I thought it was this could be much larger, but we're just going to go with top 3 underrated beers, like commercial beers in America.
Yeah.
What is your top 3?
You sent the reel, and it was like the top 3 and bottom 3, which I thought was a good, like, I don't know. It's nice to do it side by side. You got to have takes both ways.
Yes, you do.
But yeah, for our purposes, we'll go top 3, not bottom 3. Man, I don't know where it ranks on the list, but I think you have to put Corona on the list. I know it's popular, so it's kind of tough to say that. But I think like I've
Not
never had.
technically an American beer, but okay.
Well, it's a domestic, sort of. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll
That's a
let
good
you
point.
have it. If you're putting it at 3, I'll let you have it.
That's a good point. I didn't think that it's technically an import. Whatever. I think like doesn't Anheuser Busch own it or something, or I don't know.
Yeah,
Miller
yeah,
Coors, one of them
whatever.
owns it.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, well, we're gonna put aside the fact it's an import. My bad on that. But I do think that I've never had a Corona like not hit.
Yeah. Because you got to kind of be in the mood, right? Like you're either at a Mexican restaurant or you're like you're on vacation.
I
You're
don't know.
probably
Even
in.
even sometimes like if you're out and you're just
That's
like
wild. I don't know if I've ever done that, but
I have like whatever. I mean, if you're just there, you're like fuck it, I'll take a Corona with lime. I don't know.
I can safely say I've never had a Corona either outside of a Mexican restaurant or like in Mexico. So
Look, hey, could be the move. All right, I've done it. I've for sure done it. Okay, domestics. Man, I mean, look, we're Miller Lite guys. It's hard not to put that up there, but like you're talking underrated, so
yeah, underrated. Yeah.
I don't know. What do you have any?
Yeah, so my top 3 would go this.
You've got it
Okay.
locked and loaded. Okay.
PBR would be number 3. And the guy makes this point. PBR draft hits very hard and it's very good. Canned,
Yeah.
I think I have had a bottle PBR. It wasn't that good either. But like draft PBR, it hits. Miller High Life would be 2 for me. If you're talking about like less expensive options, Miller High Life, the champagne of beers, I think I would drink it anytime. I don't know if that makes me a hipster or not, but my dad grew up when I grew up. My dad drank Miller High Life. That's what he drank. So I've been around it a long time. And then if we're going number 1, I think it's got to be the king of underrated beers, and that's Busch Light. I mean, I think that was his number 1. That's a very, very deserving number 1 for Busch Light. You got Busch Light Apple, you got Busch Light Peach. Like those are so good, and it's on the cheaper side of the other domestics.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, Busch Light's a really good call. High Life is so good too. Like I don't, those are that's like on the cheaper end too, right? Like
It's not expensive.
the one thing he nailed about his list was Keystone Light being the worst place beer. Yeah,
I don't even think that's arguable. Like I think that should probably be the worst for everybody.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm currently looking at a list of domestics just to see if I'm like not missing anything. You know what else I would say? This could be a bit of a take. I got more ideas coming for the worst list. I think Yingling is on my worst list.
That's a bad.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about that. Like I will say this, I will never drink Yingling in the summer.
no.
Okay, but when fall gets here, I'll drink a Yingling or 2. Like it's pretty good.
Yeah, man.
That's a bad take. I don't know. I don't. I think a lot of people would disagree with that probably.
You know what? I think I'm going to put the banquet beer in mine.
Yeah, they can be this. We can have crossovers. Yeah.
Did you have the Coors banquet beer?
Oh no, I did not. That's
Yeah.
a good one. Yeah, I didn't even think about
I'm
that.
thinking that's going to be. We're gonna. I got to get Corona out of there. It's an import. I apologize for that. Just nobody wrote me. I'm sorry. Total oversight. I'm gonna put banquet beer at 3 for me.
Yeah,
I want to
that's
be
so good.
different from
Coors
you,
Banquet's so good.
I know, but there's like I want to be different, but I don't know that I can get different. Is the thing,
I mean, I could have put Miller High Life at 1.
That's
but I
thing,
think Busch.
I'm kind of thinking Miller High Life might be 1 for me.
Because like the Busch for me, like I don't even like peach that much, but the Busch peach is so good. The Busch apple is like beyond amazing. If you're an apple person, but
can Budweiser count for this?
No, it's like That's like mainstream. That's like saying your favorite team's the Yankees. You can't do it. Like
more people drink Bud Light than Budweiser though. But yeah, I get it. I'm just gonna inverse your 1 and 2. I think I'm gonna put Busch 2. I'm gonna put High Life 1.
I think it's a fluid situation. I think I could on any given day, my 1 and 2 could flip too.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you're talking just like pure underrated domestics, so we're talking kind of like a rung below
Yeah.
the top three. I think those are probably the three. I was trying to find a way to work in like a Rolling Rock, but that can get skunky.
Yeah. I don't mind. Yeah. It's not good. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's like not great. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's my three.
I mean, look, Little Kings almost made it in. I would say that would have been 4 for me. Little Kings hit. Now, the hangover the next day,
That's the problem.
not good. Like those little
Yeah,
beers do some serious damage. I mean, those things.
I don't think Little Kings holds up like as a pack. You know what I mean? Like on the whole, Little Kings does not hold up for me.
I can tell you this: I love them, but the nights that I've drank them, my next mornings have been just absolute disasters.
Yeah,
The hangover for those, of whatever reason, I don't know. I think it's like a cream ale, technically. Isn't that what they kind of?
yeah.
Maybe it's that. I don't know. Like the amount of sugar in them. The hangovers are terrible, but I do like a Little Kings every once in a while.
A couple honorable mentions here potentially. I think you could put Natty Light.
See, that would have been in my bottom 3.
See, I don't think it's in the bottom, but the problem is it's like the less good version of all the other ones we just named. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
And then if you were trying to go to like maybe a little bit more than just like a typical light beer situation, I think Sam Adams could find its way in. Like I'd much rather have Sam Adams than Yingling for me.
That's fair. Yeah. Even though it's like a upper echelon beer for price wise, I think it's not a super widely accepted beer. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like people, I don't think people like stand for it, but it's not like in the realm of like
Like
your
when you
your
ask somebody like what beer do you drink, like if you're asking, no one's gonna be like, oh, I specifically drink Sam Adams. I don't think you'll
right.
ever get that answer. So to me, that means it's underrated because I actually think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree. Good question though. It's nice to talk about beer again.
Yeah, now it's like making me thirsty.
We're halfway there. We're so close in this.
I know.
Next thing you know, it'll be man meal night, and it's gonna be a feast.
Yeah, a feast on my liver is probably what it's really going to turn out to be. So,
Which of Carl Linder's wines are you gonna order this time?
I think I may just get one glass. I don't know what I'm going to get. I'm going to make it something worth my while for my like glass of wine with my steak. But when I go to places like that, I am a strict smoked old fashioned person. Outside of the glass of wine with dinner, strictly old fashions at a place like that.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to.
I think that when as we're trying to replicate what we did on Gump's bachelor party, I had one glass of wine and like 7 old fashions at that dinner. So
I will not be replicating that in any way.
I plan on it. That is going to be the coming out of the shell after dry January. I know it's like February 7th, but I'm going to have a couple leading up to that. I'm not going to overdo it until that night. So
Yeah, so you might need to ramp up a little because if not, February 8th is going to be hateful.
I may not make it to February 8th. Actually, if that's not the case.
I think you'll make it to February 8th. I don't know if you'll make it to February 9th.
Yeah, that's probably more so. That's probably more so what would actually happen.
Oh man. All right. Well, that'll do it on the patio this week. We're gonna go watch some football. I think. We'll leave you guys with a little bit shorter episode, but lots jam packed in here. Plenty more to talk about next week. So, thank you for watching, listening, whatever you're doing. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show. Follow us on social media at Back96Pack. Smash the like button. I'm going to start saying smash the like button. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're trying to build that out, so would really appreciate that. And until next time, cheers.
See ya.